Oh, I should just made my sheet.
Lights on or off?
Lights.
Okay. Up to you.
Take it away, Kel.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. Before we begin, I should probably let you know that today isn't going to be a typical demo. It's more a collective exercise for all you guys in the process of world building. The goal here is to provide you guys with a framework on how to create a world of your own. And you can use this framework in your own pieces, or if any of you go on to do concepts or pieces for things like films, games, comic books. What's presented here will hopefully help you understand those worlds more thematically and help you understand how fictional worlds fit together. But before we get into all that, I suppose I should go through introductions. Cassie?
So, most people know me, but for those who don't, I'm Cassandra Poritz, but people just call me Cassie. I've done a Bachelor of Design in Illustration and Animation, and I recently graduated from that degree at UniSA. Yucky. I've gotten a few awards and stuff over the years. I've got an academic award for visual arts and design at my school. I showed my stuff at the Stace Art Show in 2018 that I showed my Year 12 design work in, and I recently had an exhibition at my uni with my grad show stuff. So I run Sketch Club. For those who don't know, I'm president, and this is just some of my works I've done over the years. I do mostly character design, but I do like venturing into other stuff as well. Yeah, and I really like doing world building projects and stuff like that. So I've got about 4 projects at the moment that I've been working with Kel, and we'll get into that in a sec, but yeah.
And my name's Kelland Grigg. I'm not from CDW. I'm a graduate from the Adelaide College of Arts, where I did my diploma and advanced diploma in screen media. I'm currently working as a freelancer, with my main skills being directing and writing. I've had the privilege to direct short films, music videos, and commercials, so I've got a good grasp on visual storytelling. the process which I'm going to take you guys through today, I've done with Cassie before, and these are some examples of some of the products of the worlds we've created.
Yeah, so we've got a few ones that... This one's the most developed one that we've got so far. It's called The Tale of Republic City, and it's a dystopian world. Been in the works for about 6 years or so. 5 years, sorry. And we're kind of in the process of trying to do a comic book / graphic novel, and Phil's doing the script and writing for it, and I'm doing the art for it. Then we've got... This one was an animation. It's a angel versus demon kind of thing, where the story is about like fallen angels and stuff like that. And this one's I know Descendant is spelt bad, but we'll just work through it. This was a film poster that we're working on, but we've been fleshing out the story for it to make it something more fleshed out. And it's about like the Greek gods and in a modern setting. And we've got like the main characters. So
All right, so let's get to it. To begin with, I'm going to start with just a bit of the boring stuff, so some old representations of worlds and history, and meaning in images. But then we'll get to the fun stuff where collectively you guys will be able to formulate a world with the framework I provide. And once you've made this world, you'll be able to go off and design, draw a piece from it. That can be a character, a weapon, a landscape, an item. It can be anything you want. It just has to be a representation or an aspect of your world. Next week, you guys will get a chance to share and maybe combine some of the pieces you've made. Cassie will take the reins on that. And if you enjoy this, hopefully you can utilize it, maybe do it again in your own time. And if not, don't worry, I'll be gone within the fortnight. Yes, and before I get into the slides, I do have to give credit where credit is due. This framework is mostly my work, but I have taken chunks from some of today's most well-known world builders, which is people like Tolkien, George R.R. Martin, Brandon Sanderson, and those are the people you'll want to look up if you want to take world building further. I'll throw their names up there at the end of it if you guys are interested. Okay, so in the beginning there was darkness. No, we're not going to go that far back, but really early on in humanity, two kinds of people developed. Those who think in pictures and those who think in words. And I think it's safe to say, if you're at CDW, you probably think in pictures. Those who thought in words made oral traditions and the first written texts, but those who thought in pictures did stuff like this. Now, I know these paintings may seem like some caveman artwork, but if you really look at them, they do give you a lot of information. These particular paintings are from somewhere in southern France. They're from a cave that you can no longer enter, called the Charvet Cave, and it dates back 32,000 years ago. Has many paintings, some of them hundreds of years apart, but altogether they tell a story. They're a summation, a representation of the world, our world, 32,000 years ago. Now, I know that this and world building may seem miles apart, but in a sense, this was the first kind of world building, which is, as I previously said, a summation of a story, the summation of history. And every detail of these paintings is important, from the animals that are being hunted, tells us what people wore back then, the pelts they had access to, how people gathered together, the sense of community they had. Right down to that center image there is the discovery that the modern horse was made by us. Originally it was a much more smaller creature, but we bred it to be bigger and stronger. All these little details of these pictures are what you want to think about when you design your pieces for your world, because each little detail, each little aspect is what's going to tell the story of your world. Sorry, I lost my place. Mention the horses. So yeah, these images may not have been building of a fictional world, but they were the first building of a world, the first building of a world representation. Now, if we jump forward 33,000 years, we get stories distilled to a single image. Now, these images were drawn around about the turn of the 11th century to the 13th century, and they were made at a time where not everyone could read the texts which they were based upon, so they had to surmise the entire story in a single image, and that's something you want to consider when you're designing your pieces. So for the uninitiated, that's Jacob's Ladder from Jacob's Ladder in the Bible. Guy gets into a scuff with his brother, goes off, drinks a bunch of oil, talks to God. That's St. George slaying the dragon. Any story about, the princess in the castle, the deadly dragon, the knight that comes to save her is spawned from that guy. He's not the first, but he's what pop culture remembers. And the last one is the last image from the Divine Comedy, Dante's Divine Comedy. So there's 3 parts to that: Dante's Inferno, Dante's Purgatorio, and then Paradiso. And Paradiso is the 9 circles of heaven. The Inferno is 9 circles of hell, and Purgatorio is 9 circles of purgatory. And that is essentially the last image of Dante meeting the big man. You can see the circles of heaven, and the sun is meant to be God at the end. These sorry, I lost my place. Okay, so yeah, they are distilled images of the story, and that's what you got to think about. That's the point I was trying to get to. Now, representing an image, representing a story through a single image, and having keen detail to tell the story of your world is something that's translated into modern media. Modern media. Now, here are a few examples of stories told through modern media. The first one here, Immortan Joe from Mad Max Fury Road. That's a character design that just screams story, from his medals to his breather to his painted on abs. That's a character design that you can tell, he's a guy that's trying to hide something, holding on to old illusions of grandeur. The top right-hand corner, that's Blade Runner. That's a good example of a story told through an environment set in the not-too-distant future, yet it still looks rather dark and dreary, with the only thing to illuminate the streets being huge pictures of advertisement and sort of consumerism. And the last one there, I'm sure everyone knows, is Star Wars. And that's a image that perfectly encapsulates the original trilogy, that being the modern, clean-cut future, that being Darth Vader and the Death Star trying to destroy the wise old wisdom of the past, which is the Jedi. Okay, so now that we've got some information about representing story through images, we can actually get to world building. But before we get to actually learning how to build a world, I'd just like to get an idea of what kind of fictional worlds you guys know. So, feel free to call them out, whether they be TV shows, movies, anime, book series, what? Discworld? Yep. Yep. Another world? Pardon?
Oh, yeah.
The Wizarding World, that's a good one. Grishaverse? Okay. Grishaverse. And then the Song of Ice and Fire. Any other suggestions? Middle Earth, that's a good one. Tamriel. That's Elder Scrolls, isn't it? Yep. Elder Scrolls, Tamriel. Suppose we can put Star Wars there as well. It's okay, I think that's enough. Okay, now that we have those, let's go into the framework of world building. Keep in mind, there's not one set way that works for everyone, but what we're going to go through is good for beginners. So it's a good starting point. Now, first things first, when you build a world, you have to decide how big and how in depth you're going to make it. There's something called the iceberg theory. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's essentially when there's an iceberg, you can really only see the top third, and the other 2/3 exist below the surface. The top bit is what the audience sees, what the audience knows, what the viewers know about your world, and everything else below is what you know about the world in order to make sense. Now, a full iceberg like that a world like that where there's religions and languages and races and governments and everything is built out, and it's almost as in detail as our world, would take about 20 years to build, 10 if you're lucky. We don't have that amount of time, obviously, but a couple of examples of that kind of world would be Middle Earth in Lord of the Rings, and the Radland from the Wheel of Time. So what we're going to try and go for is the second two. What most people do when they build a world is they build the top half and then they sit it on a raft where there's really nothing below. Whatever is known is what is shown, and there's only hints of something deeper. You see this in a lot of YA novel series, particularly the Hunger Games and Divergent. They're very detailed with their here and now, but they don't go too in depth into the histories of the world. The third kind is sort of the hollow iceberg, where there's not a lot of depth in the world itself, but there is at its core a really solid idea, which is anchoring it down. A good example of that is H.P. Lovecraft's Necronomicon, his series of stories, his cosmic horror stories. There's not a lot of detail in the battles that took place between the gods, but we know that there's elder gods, doing some odd things in our world, and that's enough. Another good example is Attack on Titan. it's got the good idea of the Titans attacking and the worlds they've built to keep them out, but everything else is sort of so apart from character development. So the third one is what you want to aim for. Sorry. The third one is what you want to aim for. Most people land on the second one, but that's okay. It's the first time. So once you know how in depth you're going to take your world, you're presented with what genre you're going to go for, and there's three paths you can sort of go down. Sci-fi, dystopia, and fantasy. They're sort of your primary genres of the world. There are other genres than that, like horror, and you can combine them. There's stuff like modern fantasy, there's stuff like modern sci-fi. Superheroes is sort of like modern sci-fi and modern fantasy put together, but that's really more of a genre of its own. Steampunk is like a what did I put? Steampunk is it's a fantasy sci-fi combination. Even though there are a lot of variants, for this exercise I'd probably want to stick to just sci-fi, just dystopia, just fantasy, because when you go straight for one of them, you're given a lot more opportunity to flesh out that genre. And I'd want to give you guys as much opportunity as you can with this world. A good way to think about it is for people who like to do creature designs. Sci-fi would be aliens, dystopia would be mutants, and fantasy would be monsters. So after choosing what genre you'd like to go down, the next step in world building will be choosing certain cultural and physical aspects. Now, physical aspects of your world is basically anything that's not to do with humans. Some good examples might be weather, flora and fauna, so plants and creatures, climate, races, magic, and cosmology. And cosmology is, the Big Bang, the gods that made the world out of clay, the gods making the world in 7 days, the slaying of the Titan that we now live on its back, or something like that. And these aspects are aspects that you'll take and sort of dial up to 11. So once you have a genre, you can then choose aspects of your world, and they will help inform what story you can make from that. The physical, there's really only like 9 or 10, but when you get to the cultural aspects, there can be an abundance of choices. Another term for physical is environmental. I don't like to say environmental because that restricts it a little bit, but you can put stuff like magic and geography in there. So for cultural, it is basically anything to do with the humanity or the civilization that resides in your fictional world. Some of these can be religion, government, military. Just to make sure you guys are getting it, what cultural aspects of our world do you think you could dial up to 11 in a fictional world? Food? Food's a good one. Yeah. No, that's made by humans, so.
Yeah, but
Food. Any other suggestions? Art? Yeah. Yeah. Fashion? Taboos is a good one. What's considered taboo in your world? Yeah. Yep.
Language.
Yep, language. Yeah, nature exists on its own. A good one to keep in mind, and a good one that most people doing fantasy go for, is geography. And geography is a good way to represent the state of humanity. So in fantasy, it's a map of like kingdoms. In sci-fi, it is how far people have expanded into the stars or something like that. And in dystopia, geography would be how much humanity has been reduced. Here's one we made earlier. So what you want to then do is you choose a genre and you choose one physical aspect that you can dial up to 11, and you pick 2 cultural aspects that you can dial up to 11, and you can see what premise you can make from that. So for an example, if you took a dystopian world and you chose religion and climate and military, you might get a dystopian world that was created by a massive weather disaster, and now the few people that are left are ruled by sort of a religious zealot class. And you can go into thinking about how you might visualize your world. So with that little idea, I imagine, power armor to survive on the outside, and maybe for a character design, someone who was injured by a freak lightning storm, something like that. A good example from pop culture is Song of Ice and Fire. No, not yet.
Sorry.
Song of Ice and Fire, that one chose climate as one of their physical attributes, with the winter that lasts years and the summer that lasts years. And they chose, they put in taboos, so like being a bastard in Westeros, as well as hierarchy, lords, ladies, kings, queens. And what you see a long series do, or a really built out world, is like each chapter they add something new. So in Song of Ice and Fire, they add magic right at the end, and then as the book series goes along, they add more stuff like religion with the High Septon, and so on and so forth. Races being the White Walkers. Cass, you've got some examples of this? Other worlds that do this?
For example, I've got some like fantasy. Just show some fantasy looking examples in pop culture. So we've got Atlantis, the Lost Empire. So physical attributes would be like resources and power source, with the crystal that they have. That's their main power source, and it controls their technology. Which what we have here is technology and geography, with like the Atlantis being the Lost Empire, and the government, the people trying to get into Atlantis and make a profit of it. We've got here Treasure Planet, and its physical attributes would be resources and power source, which would be like the stuff that powers their technology. And we've got also technology and geography. The geography would be like the space, and the government. It's pretty much similar to Atlantis as well, but this one's set in space instead of a Lost Empire. And then we've got Onward, and that one's like the physical attribute will be magic, and the cultural will be like the technology that they've advanced to, because they don't end up using magic until, you know, this guy comes along with his stuff. So then it would be like resources and power source. So yeah, that's just an example.
Another series example, which gets into a bit more of the wacky, is something like Stephen King's Dark Tower series. That's one that uses time as its physical attribute, where it sort of slows down the further away you get from the center of the world, and it uses religion and government as its cultural, and that's one of the few examples where dystopia, fantasy, and sci-fi are all used in one. That's a bit of a challenge, but if you guys feel up for it, we'll see. So once you have your premise and your attributes, once you have your genre and your attributes, you've got something that can help you build a premise for your world. And this is where I would like to give you guys a go. Just coming up with a premise. I'm willing to give you guys 10-15 minutes. You guys to talk amongst yourselves and come up with something. Don't have to worry about the quality of it. It can be good, bad. Just want to see what you guys can do, and at the end of the 15 minutes, those who want to share can share a premise. So 10 minutes, just talk amongst yourselves.
And the cow thing has to be like made out of like space stuff. So it's great. The one you were just being like, oh yeah, he just kind of looked off and he was like, after 5 more minutes, and a year later, he was like, alright,
Sorry.
Okay, wait, I'm going to grab Oh, like they actually do randomly generate a world? Yes. Okay, wait, how many are now? Oh. Wait, what if humanity is enslaved by a race of cats? So there's humanity. What if there's like a race of cat people and they force the population to be cat people? So that their bloodline goes extinct and the cat race. I know they're gonna have a chapter of it. My hair starts growing. Let's call it cat girl eugenics. What if they had a and the only difference is that they have cat ears. And it's like they're the oppressor. They milk. What if they ran the cat race? Right? They ran out of the females. So they just clone every cat race the same. So they have like one plus. Like alternative. Right, so, well, maybe there's like some societies that like narcissistic, they go down with like their cat ears. And there's like a notice board, and there's like cat ears, like nailed to it. Oh yeah. There's like a two-way.
Now our human cat.
There's like the cat that's like in your pocket. Yeah, no, 100 meters, and then he took a break. No.
Then he had a nice slide.
But they all have yeah.
No, I don't think it will be like the cat conversation tracks things like that.
You just wake up in the world on fire.
Okay, so weird when I say all this time. Yeah, like that. That's just like general. Oh, that's the just trying to Yes. It's not just me.
Wait, yeah, but I thought it was 10:15. We put the time to do it 15. You know what? We'll ask when it comes to 10, and then we'll be like, do you guys need more time?
Okay, mine's 12:51.
When they release,
We can celebrate. Can we yeah, I think we like oh hell yeah.
what if they release like
Please follow it.
everyone who just shuffle
Like the way those looks with these glasses on.
Okay, the bus is all
Photos. Your light is fine. Please be wary.
Human cow.
It's recorded. I mean, you can. This is the dress.
Like putting this, so there's no in between.
It's like. Wait. No, I'm not putting it.
Oh no. I'm not
Sorry.
no, I think the reason why I like
You did it if I could sit on that metal. I didn't see you bruised. I don't know. There's like different parts.
We're coming up to 10 minutes. Oh, sorry. Do you guys want another 5 or are you ready now? Do you guys want another 5 minutes to talk or are you...
We can do another 5 if you guys want. We've got time.
Yeah, alright, we'll give you another 5.
Oh yeah. By the way, yeah, you guys like will hopefully be able to use one of those ideas. So.
Are we all meant to be doing it together?
No. No, just think of some themes and stuff. Yeah, and then we'll like pick the best one or something like that.
Cool. It's part of your idea too. Oh, okay. I'm part of the group. Cool. That's why they love it instead of it's not actually they just got them all like sucked up flat. They just
I think I bought an extra coat. I did actually buy this.
Yeah, it depends. When it's big. Oh, it means. Oh, to not be. No, okay, yeah, that's.
Okay, that's 15 minutes. So how many of you would like to share? Well,
Okay, so basically it's like where is the place? Like it's based in ancient Egypt, and like these aliens who are actually cat girls have they've invaded, they haven't invaded, but they've like crashed their spaceship into Earth. So then they have to rebuild civilization from the ground up. And so they make a secret society of cat girls and like slowly insert themselves into leadership and take over the world. And then the story set in present, maybe not present day, but maybe in the future, like maybe a sci-fi dystopian setting. And yeah, there's toxoplasmosis.
What, like physical and cultural?
so if you had to narrow it down to one genre, or a combination of those three, because I'm hearing like
So, what, like
Sci-fi.
yeah,
sci-fi. Okay.
yeah.
And
what, like
what are the physical and cultural attributes
Yeah.
of that world? Yeah. Come.
Maybe like because they give all the humans toxoplasmosis.
nice, yeah.
What's toxoplasmosis?
The cat disease that makes you like that.
Oh,
It's real.
shit! I didn't know that.
Get it from there. It makes you kind of
Isn't that like bestiality? That's a real thing.
yeah, it is.
Ew. I wonder there's so many necker charms.
Interesting. Definitely unique. Any other premises? Yeah.
No, we just jumped another generation stuff. We ended up with natural resources and power source. I think it was like religion and
Architecture and art. I don't think we did
no, we didn't know, but I picked those. We ended up with like So wait, in the back in the day, you had like your classic fantasy, like mages and religion shit and stuff like sorcerer stuff.
Sorry.
And they were doing all their magic stuff. You had magic people. That current day, it's like not current day, it's a different world, whatever. Steampunk stuff. They've got all these magic people. They've captured them. They've locked them up. They're powering their cities and stuff. And these locked up people that they're like milking might be the word.
Yeah.
But you get the point.
So it's like-
They're locked up. They're magic people. Stuff's happening. They're powering the city with the people.
With
in a
magic.
Very inhumane way.
Magic girl, like Sailor Moon.
Oh, I was thinking more like old guys.
Oh,
like wizards and stuff.
Yeah.
now I'm thinking
you
of
can
like
do Sailor Moon,
Dumbledore
you
with
can
the Sailor
look up Sailor
Moon
Moon
transformation
during
magic
that.
girl.
So it's a little bit dystopian, a little bit fantasy.
Sailor Moon in chains, if that's what I worked it up. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Then the story could be something like one of them escapes and it's like, this is too good. Let's fix this.
Yeah. Any other premises?
It's a good solid idea though.
Yeah.
Ice pirates. Yeah.
Utopia, maybe?
Yeah.
The main ones would be climate, as it would be very cold. Technology could be advanced pirate ships to be able to move through that part of the world.
They like cut through the ice. Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's okay.
you're doing pretty good.
It's only a premise. Yeah. It's the stepping stone for a world. Yeah.
You're doing really good. I'm liking it.
My aspect, if something went wrong with design, where it only has warmth and growth potential on certain areas,
Okay.
so everything else.
Where it's like maybe the Earth moves much slower, so like one side's always frozen, one side's like a desert, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Any other premises? Anyone? Okay. All right.
There's some really solid ideas there. Like we might, as a group, collectively either decide on one or like come up with one like all together. But that's you guys are doing really good. You're getting the idea of narrowing things down. Yeah, good job.
So, once you have a premise for your world, you want to flesh it out a bit. And a great way to flesh out your world is to come up with sort of your 3 big events. These events will be sort of the axes that your worlds spin around. So there's always an event. There can be more than 3. More often than not there is, but 3 keeps it nice and simple. So for the first one, there's always an event that happened in the past. For dystopia, it's how the world went to shit. For sci-fi, it's something that's discovered that sort of pushes humanity forward or makes them more advanced. And fantasy, it's usually the battle long ago, like the Battle of Sauron, or, Order 66, something like that. The second event is something in your world that's happening right now, right in the present tense of the world, something that's changing the status quo. That could be the emergence of some new kind of creature, it could be the reveal of a villain, it could be some kind of climactic shift. It's something to stir things up and unsettle things. The third major event is something that your world is building towards. It could be a prophecy, it could be a destined event, it could be a set destination characters are heading towards, but when you find your 3 big events, the past, present, and future, you'll have gaps in the story, and the gaps you'll be able to fill with the pieces that you create. Prophesied. So, with the genre, with the 1 physical and 2 cultural attributes, and your 3 big events, those should give you the right framework to begin to build a world. When it comes to actually doing the pieces for your world, the concept pieces, whether they be character design, weaponry, armor, items, background, you've got to know how to distill the image down.
Bless you.
So distill the story down to an image. For character design, a good way to do this is archetypes. Sorry, go back. So just distilling the world down, it's you take the world itself, you take an item or a character, and you come up with a basic journey that they have gone on. Backstory to an item, you come up with the attire they're wearing or what the weapon you've created has gone through, and then the last thing you do is the actual picture of the thing itself.
That we'll all be doing, like, the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before creating your pieces, you'll throw out big ideas and you'll sort of just chip away at them until you have something that's a good representative of that. Anyway, but for characters, a good thing to keep in mind is archetypes. Archetypes, I'm sure you've heard that word before, but it's basically roles that characters play in a story. In the hero's journey, you've got the hero with the heroine, the master, which is the wise old person with all the information, the vigilante, is like the morally grey character. You don't know where he or her is going to end up. The antagonist, and the antagonist can be the exact same but mirror image to the hero, or it can be the exact opposite. There's the sidekick, there's the damsel, the person needing saving, there's the comic relief, and then there's the companion, which is sort of meant to be in fantasy and sci-fi, the companion is usually the audience's eyes, but that's more to do with story. On the right there, you've got some more psychological archetypes. They're Jungian archetypes. Jungian was a psychologist and he was able to break down story quite well. So you've got certain roles on the outside, you've got desires in the middle, and you've got sort of the overall goal that those archetypes go towards. So you've got the where am I? You've got the not the outlaw, the jester, who main goal is pleasure and it's to connect to others. But just adjacent to that, you've got the everyman who seeks belonging but also wants to connect to others. That's just a good. It's a good dot point to base a character off, because once you know the character's personality, you can then use that to inform how they're going to look and maybe what stance they're in. Right before we get to actually getting you guys to build the world, thing I want to mention is theme. Theme can affect what attributes you choose to include in your world, or it can be retroactively fitted in after you've created the world. It doesn't have to be complex, it can be pretty simple, but some common themes that we know is good versus evil, careful what you wish for, is destiny set, no fate but what we make, what does it mean to be human? That's very Philip K. Dick. Some things are best left untouched, so it's like an ancient discovery, and is control a universal right? Those are
Those are some themes that we see often in worlds and in media. You don't have to choose one of those, but if you want to keep it simple, those are probably the simplest ones you can go with. Okay, so that's all the info that you need to know in order to start building your world. Before we get to it, are there any major questions you need answered? Nothing I can fill in? Didn't confuse anyone?
Is he doing a good job, basically? He wants some validation.
Okay, I didn't confuse anyone, that's good.
Okay, so was there something you wanted to say before we went into the template for the world building?
Oh yes, so if people interested, we are thinking about making this into something more than just the workshops. So like only for the workshops. We're thinking about doing this for Sketch Club, kind of like what Simon's doing for Moonsinger, because he's the director of Moonsinger. They're all planning the studio, for those who don't know, but we're gonna try and do something. It's like kind of like a pipe dream, I guess. I mean pipe dream, but like if we could accomplish it, that'd be really, really good. But we are gonna try and do a pipeline thing, yeah. So we've got a few suggestions of what our purpose could be. We're probably definitely gonna do an art book or like a zine, at least like maybe like magazine kind of thing. Every semester we'll like put a like presentation or portfolio or something in an art book or a magazine so people can see outside of Sketch Club, and show people what we've been doing. And maybe every year we can do an art book, and every semester we'll do a magazine kind of thing. We probably won't do an art book this year just because it's kind of all over the place, but we'll definitely try and do a magazine if we can, with the grant we've got for Sketch Club. But if we've got a solid idea, we could possibly do like a short film or like a mini episode series, TV kind of thing, like an animation based or a comic book graphic novel kind of thing. I've got no ideas. These are my ideas that I've come up with, but if anyone has any suggestions, we can talk about it more about it next week. But this is just something to keep an eye out. So if like you're not sure about your ideas now, maybe try to like flesh it out so it's like we can do it so it'll last for a long time. Like for example, Moonsinger's got a really good solid idea when it comes to like world building stuff. So yeah, when we're all thinking about our worlds that we want to do, maybe think about the purpose as well, like what is it for, and maybe like target audience and stuff like that. So and then the roles, I only put up there a few. I was just thinking at the top of my head, but we've got character design, creature design, weapon design, digital map painting, 3D modeling. So the main point of this.
Do you want me to explain that bit?
Okay, whatever.
Okay. So, we'll bring up the template and we'll get you guys to fill in the genre attributes and everything like that. But the main question is, do you guys want to do it as one big group? Do you want to split off into two groups? Okay, so you guys will be building a world, and with the framework I've provided, but in that world, it would be good if someone did a character design, someone did a creature design, someone did a weapon design. Don't think you have to fill out those roles, but it's more just doing
We're just trying
what
to
you
cater-
guys like to do.
Yeah, we're just trying to cater to everyone. So if you are interested in doing, there's a lot of people doing character design. That's okay. It's as long as like at least one person is doing a background, at least. Just because it's we're just trying to do basically kind of like one of those pieces up there where it's put a character in and then you put a background. That's our aim for the workshop for today and next week.
Yeah, so we'll bring up the template now. So this is where you guys jump in, and we'll start just with creating one world, and if you guys want to splinter off, you can do so, but this is where I sort of step back and let you guys decide. So you get to pick a genre, physical attributes, cultural attributes, the 3 big events, the theme if you want, and purpose is your department. So yep, that's about it. You've got the remaining time this lesson to start on your stuff. I'll be here to answer any questions you might have, and so will Cass. And yeah, you can get to it. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can create. Thank you.
Cool. So if people want to ask, Kel for world building questions, and can come up to me if something looks okay, or basically if you're gonna do any design work, make sure has meaning. Like, say a character's got a gun there and on its holster, and you're just like, so why do you have it there? It's like, it just looks cool. The point of this whole workshop is to give meaning to an image, and give meaning to characters, and give meaning to your designs, basically. We don't want to see things that are just for aesthetics. You can do that, but it's just, our main purpose is, why do you have things on your designs, basically. So yeah, if you have any questions, just come up to us and stuff. We'll also come around and check your work and stuff like that.
So some of you had a world in mind. Do you guys want to continue with those premises, or do you want to
like start with something new?
Start something new.
Okay. Combine them.
It's up to you guys.
I reckon
can combine them. You can do 2 separate
it
ones.
is up to
I wouldn't
you.
do more
It is
than
up
2
to
worlds,
you.
though.
Yeah, it is up to you.
Yeah.
It's just, keep in mind that the simpler the better, so that you can expand it later, and you can get a grasp of it after. I think if you guys want to do 2 separate groups, or separate groups, that's completely fine. Just keep in mind what you need is at least some characters, a background, I don't know, weapons, creatures, that kind of thing. It's mainly you need something, and then the background. That's your brief. Would you say that?
Yeah. So the world you guys were doing, who's in that world? Who's doing that world? All you guys there? That you? 1, 2, 3, 4. The 9 of you there? Were you guys doing another world? Doing a separate world?
So
or?
you 4, you're doing separate world? Yeah. Yeah, okay. What was your name over there? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, cool. Yeah. If you want, we can give you a hand and like give some tips and help you out. So you're not, Contessa, you a part of this, or you don't mind? Are you like a part of this, or? Okay, all good. You're on your own. All right. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, I think what we might do is maybe by next week, we'll pick the strongest idea. Like, you guys will do your things, right? And you do two separate images, or two separate pieces. And then if we end up continuing this into Sketch Club, we'll pick, which one's the strongest idea. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we just have to fill these out first for the two worlds.
Yep. I'm gonna put the PowerPoint on Discord. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. So I'll put the PowerPoint on Discord if you guys need the template and the other stuff. So if you guys need it, it'll be there under the session chat. So it'll be there. And yeah, we'll be around.
Scamming markets, people got their stuff. That's where they are. They send bottom level. That's where they all be stuff. They're in tanks, they're in chains.
There's this bondage option. There's this
Why not?
I think I have the right energy.
Like, have you seen like yeah.
That's great. I love this. And it was like 11:45. And then it was just like, hey, only 5 people can sleep. It's pretty much, I think it's the same spot. Yes. Take this. Should I bring my? It's flat. I mean, I've got my chair. You don't have a bag. Phil's got a bag. Can I put some in your bag after? Okay. Well, if I forget it, I'll see you tomorrow anyway. Sure. Yeah. You can just hold it. Yeah. Put that in the jacket, the pocket in the jacket. Yeah, I know. Alright. Okay. That's. It went so well. She liked that energy. Guess what? Shh, I haven't gotten the job yet. This one, not that one. What's that? But yeah, check it. I really like it. That's what I need in my place. She goes, but if I don't, you know, if I don't give you my stuff, then I'm gonna give you the other stuff. I was going to kiss you, so. Okay, but it's fine. It's just there. I know. Yeah, but that's like you can drop it. I like the same. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Oh, it's just there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know cats. I request access. So like, there's like 4 with my name.
And I bought.
We can do that.
I need to make it love.
Just like, I think that we're like, yes, definitely going to, yeah. I think we're definitely going to,
And I check on
the binary. Yeah.
No. Okay, yeah. Just gonna drop. Yeah. Oh, no, I wouldn't drop. Keep minute.
I
was going to wear that jacket today, and I was like, oh, I gave it to myself. That should be everything. Oh. Oh my God, what's going on? I'm fighting on this. Piss off now. Love you.
Yeah, so,
Sorry.
like, these things are more general.
Are you gonna make note of it?
Make note of the worlds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, she said. No, oh, what she said.
Yeah, regular phone updates.
See? Told you.
No, we can leave that there. Okay, that's not like that's the turn page. Oh, it's a I'll write it down.
Sorry, just click automatically.
Leave that page. Alright. We've got stuff to write.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at my anyway, so yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm so excited.
Already mentioned it.
Although it's okay, if you're about to put out a manufacturing workshop, so they will we're gently calling it magic building. Okay. Or you could join the cat guild group if you'd rather. Cat guild group.
Yeah, you want to join the Cat Girls or what was it?
Oh!
So we're making, we're making worlds, but we're going to try finding a way to make the best one to continue with Sketch Club. But for now, that group is going to
I can be called Worldbuilding. That's the name of the company.
That's the organization.
Are they?
we're all going to do like one image, so creature, that kind of thing.
How much is
Some people to do so they're from one image, they'll help we're just figuring out
what do you want? And then choose
whoever, and then yeah.
So sorry.
So that's Kel's an idiot. Also, guys, if you also want to figure out what purpose or what it's for as well. That'd be good to do. So yeah. Sorry.
Okay, I just have like a slide here. You got a better name? Yeah.
I'll leave you for some beside.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, like, like, yeah, what is your Yeah, all of them put together.
they're like instructed like a winter valley. Yeah. Like we need to acknowledge like taking out baby moms. Will there be any like young like baby moms? How are they made? Are they made like are they school? Or they like I feel like up in like the utopian area, they try to hide as much as possible, or like very magical creatures.
If anyone wants to join Lauren's group,
Yeah, there's no key to use it. It's just magic supernatural. I think it's yeah, like
maybe this
they don't acknowledge it. Because we are like
you guys don't have to go anyone
Religion.
wants to
well, I feel like the government would have a bit more of a martial law sort of thing.
yeah,
You know,
I
in every utopia, it was like everything's peaceful until you begin to question things.
just putting it out there, you know,
That's what I'm saying. It's a bit. It's a
Um,
very
but
I feel like we should have like a community or like at least the government and everyone's like you're free to jump.
yeah. Everyone's free to jump between groups, by the way. Yeah, that's fine.
I guess like just got promotion. She used to be able to do like now she's ultimately for other people. Maybe that could be maybe she's like the only person who has been like on TV. Not one of the
No,
I think I'm gonna do that. It's really very
No, that's cool. But I was like very,
Yeah. She can like pull the little breeze and everything. Yeah. And like summer, like spring, like fire, spring, be like round. Yeah, so like what we did with the No, it's not literally just awesome. I'm writing down. Yeah, so each plan would have different abilities. Is from the clan of winter female. Summer. Chad, man. I She's like the queen bee, but she's just like on that. Right. Yeah. I'm really great. So girl. We're gonna do an A. Is that main character or I'm looking up main. They're not very like gender oriented. Maybe go to
So I've just kind of came to everyone, and basically if we can try and I've had a few questions where can you create like concept art instead of just plain illustrations? Yes, you can. It's basically we're looking for anything that backs up your work, your world. So that can be character design, creature design, that kind of thing. We just say that it's probably easier to put it all in a single image, but if it's easier to do concept art, then that's okay too. Yeah, so, and I've been helping a few people that are alone, so I'll be backing up them and doing like, I'm basically their bitch and doing work for them. So, and everyone else, you've got plenty of people. So, yeah. Get him. All right.
We have like it's so big that it's actually but like it doesn't really
But I like feel like for some reason it turned into that, and I was like, oh shit, I'm rolling with it. No, thanks.
This sort of like I'm one of these. Yeah, we should just take a breath and bring it down. So it's very like very.
I've never done a golf class.
Well, it's a
They're all getting. Oh, maybe. You know what, guys? Break time. Everyone have break.
We're going. Alright. So actually we use our power and I'm trying to do our files. You mentioned like little wing stuff earlier. Yeah, no, but just like British Empire. Yes, that's what every modern day is that it's either the Germans or the British. Okay, I'm just saying. They're not the British. Oh, right. Okay. Guys, I'm just saying, you like all the dogs. Yeah, exactly. It's all yes, because like we're talking about leading up to power valley of action, strength, action, control. It's like then we get, but it's oh my god, I go back to like exactly. That's what the government, that's what the government did back in the day. They use religion to control people. Okay, so what's the theme? It's like minority not worthy of like the majority of prosperity. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So essentially we're doing more dystopian fantasy. Yeah. So actually power resources. No, I was just
world, there is a utopia. We haven't quite named it yet, but it's this world. Every like in every dystopia, it's presented to be a utopia. But the thing is, how the world is run is by the magical powers of creatures in the ocean, and the main core of the valley is about and one of the youngest, I guess, the newer they're magic, they're wings. She's not like a bad person, she just is ignorant. Where they suck out all the magical energy, trying to bring the therapy to the rest of the world and suffering. I remember. Yeah.
And then they were rendering it.
Yeah. Non-binary. And the autumn.
Like there's no shit.
We're gonna like properly organize so much characters. Got summer, Hermione, winter, Sam, Timber.
As long as one person does one thing.
Oh, we're like setting it up. We've got like
So then we get like the
Yeah. As long as like the
don't worry.
really accumulated.
yeah.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, we just explained it all the cast.
Yeah. I'll just try to get Okay, so there is
Okay, so
the two guys in the house, they were Oh, sorry.
Calm your horses. I drink coconut water because it's better for the environment. I take elements from Kira, like the one of them knows she's lived that truth. The other one is now like the audience to see the other knows. No, she does. She hasn't been honest. she has to pair up with this girl so that she can, and she kind of needs that. And then when girl needs to pair up with her because she doesn't know what's the yeah, there you go. There's the purpose for the arms. It's like she non-binary names. That's great. Yeah, I'll be quite right to be like Aspen. It's not binary. I've met so many non-binary things. Aspen. Are we going to? We're running down.
Where you guys gonna have dinner? I mean, lunch.
We're going to go grab some. We've like done so much planning. We've done so much.
No, you guys just have a break.
Yeah.
Good. Here, darling.
Shave my head like that. I would.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, not now, but like, yeah. I'm just gonna put it on the one. No, let's see. I won't be able to pull it off. You could totally be able to put it off. I know, it's just egg shaped, so. Anyone who follows the fast facts about confidence. Yeah. Anyone's gonna be okay. Even if you just learning, just back up. Yeah, that's okay. You can do something that's
Dang, high five stuff.
so you think it's a good idea. Little people to ready. That's what did some
That's not
Well, they do say that chicken, It's like all random crap.
If you're president, By the way, everyone, we're going to try and get people to pitch their ideas next Friday. So if you want to do it in the best, like, come up with something that helps with pitching, that'd be good. Like, I can give you some examples of how you can pitch your idea. Yeah, so I'll do that next week. Acceptance pitching. That's what I'm afraid of. Yep. need any help with concept art, just chuck me a message because I'm helping some other people with concept art.
I don't understand why you tried to like edit the cat out instead of just getting it a picture of a poster out. Then he ended up like twisting around. I think it was just
Really the only stuff I was following, like characters from it was great. And does the same there also they know there is examples that you really want to like
Hey Lauren, if you need any concept art, you want to just message me. I'll make, I don't know, make the antagonist or
It's getting really fun, but I don't know if I'm gonna be around enough
We realized what time it was and we were like, oh shit.
Yeah, it could get more steampunky the further down the levels we go.
So the final thing that happened was very much like then the third down like that was just turn left. And then I'm going. Wait, no, I
Hey, you guys. So, we've just been saying that make sure to pitch your idea tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Next Friday.
Oh, like with all the concepts and stuff? Because we're gonna like, we're starting. We're excited.
No, I mean like just make sure to pitch your idea.
Oh, and you know, it's classified information.
Fragile, control. Alright, are we? What's your idea? You know, yeah, we wait till next Friday.
I can write it. We know what we could do. If we
Satisfaction.
yeah. Get someone who's not a part of this at all to read, see if they understand it, so that we know we're going Ah, yes.
I'm going to think harder on the second one, then I can admit this is
Is that your second?
Nothing. Tell me your story. I'll be in my
See you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.
We turned a poo-poo idea into something kind of cool. I'm not telling you those things. Okay, fine. You'll never know. I wouldn't even show you on Friday. Oh, you'll just never know.
Hey, can you do a thank you thing? But no worries. Thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, if not, I'm going to the Azure tonight. Are you going to the thing tonight?
Yeah. The what?
To the party?
The post-presentation vibe.
Oh yeah, I remember that shit. Okay, second photo. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Hey, wait.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, boom. Done.
Wait, do I look alright?
Yeah, you look fine.
Yes, but show me. No, can I just see it?
You're smiling. You look smiling. We're good. Yeah, we've got a whole thing. We've got Discord, we've got a Google Doc.
Yeah. How about you? Yeah, we got like a basic idea. We're doing different things. So it's mainly focused on one thing, the location, right? Designing characters, the location, basic stuff.
Same. You'll be your angel. cigars. We flame junction. I don't know what I was getting myself. See ya. I'll hopefully see you tonight. On Discord. Yeah.
See ya.
What's the genre? I'll say one of them. There's fantasy element. We're going fantasy. That's what I'm gonna say. I won't say anything else. Okay, we're screaming at me now. Fantasy / real life stuff. Give me better than that. I'm going to destroy your story. Okay. Oh, thanks. I'll report your. No. You know what? I can do that you'll never have done. I'm going to, if you ever publish it, I'm going to buy it. Yeah. Yeah, and promote it. Yeah, I know. I'm fucking brilliant. You just keep on one-upping me. It's so impressive. Yeah, I know. It's my talent.
Good winner.
Yeah. Have you got your grades yet? No. Yeah, neither have I. I'm still waiting for my creative arts. I literally don't have my introduction to creative arts thing. Yeah. Nothing. Still waiting on con stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, well,
like I checked everything submitted. The flow thing acknowledged that I submitted shit. I just haven't gotten grades back. I'm like, yeah, it's taken a while. Like I said, like just being lazy. Yeah, there was this like other teacher who was like the rudest human being in the world, but then like Simon was like, nope, we're not doing this today.
it's Jason.
Yes. And like Simon was such like a sweetheart. And I'm like, thank you, Simon. Love you. You're great.
Yeah.
Wait, why was Jason rude? Oh, he was really rude to the girl before me, and then he was really rude to like me and everything. Like someone was showing off their like designs and everything. Was like, are you serious? And I'm like, wow. I
And
don't
you're
think.
an actual like good designer, like artist.
No, it was for the girl before.
Oh.
And my whole thing is,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
thinking
right.
he's not like an art teacher. I'm thinking he's just like a person who represents Flinders
He is,
and
yeah.
everything. And then when I was doing
He
mine,
does technical stuff.
when I was doing mine, he was like, anime, of course.
He
And
actually
so-
said that.
And Simon's just like, you know what? I completely disagree. Brilliant work, Dawn. Good job with that, Simon.
I was doing digital painting with him next semester.
Me. So much fun. I love it.
I don't know if it'll be with him. It'll be with Simon or Nathan. But either way.
My glove.
Oh, actually, I thought it was mine. It's with me. I'm so sorry. And my sister brought it with. I'm so sorry. I thought it was mine. I will bring it to you on Monday. I'm so sorry. What? No, it's a
Yeah,
hand
we were
thing.
one glove
It's
on
a
one
thing.
hand.
It's a hand thing. Well, I wear.
Oh wow, so how am I gonna draw tonight?
I'm sorry.
Wow, I've got a commission to get done.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can I buy you fingerless gloves?
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I thought they were mine. I was like, oh yeah, it's here. I didn't realize it took them out. I didn't even know I had brought them. That's why I was like, oh yeah, this is mine.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
I'm looking believing you, but apparently not. I'm sorry. My glove is gone now. I'll give it forever. I'll never have it back.
Are you coming on Monday? Oh, probably. Monday's character design with Duncan.
Probably.
Okay.
Hang on, what if I get called for a photo? That's kind of how my life is right now.
Yeah.
Living on call, if not, I'm at home doing a stupid commission. What's the commission? Well, the
Oh,
first,
your dad's friend.
yeah. So one of his things was, I'll talk about the one I'm doing currently. So he wanted an image of him standing next to his recently deceased dog. I'm like, that's sweet, cute, I can do that, right? I don't really draw dogs very often, but I'll try. He's like, okay, cool. As I'm about to start drawing and he's just paid, he paid significantly more than I asked him for and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'll give
He's
you
your
this
dad's
leeway.
friend.
He said, could you draw me in samurai armor but make it Pokemon themed and have my dog have Entei? You know like the fire dog from Pokemon? Yeah, I want him to have Pokemon themed armor as well. I'm like, okay. So I've been doing that. I've been looking up samurai armor, different types of samurai armor. He's like, I don't want to look too boxy. I want my form to still be there, you know? I'm like, cool. And then his second part of the commission, because he wanted to buy 2 pieces, was a full image of him and his family, right? He wanted his family portrait. I'm like, okay, cool, just a standard family portrait. He's like, no, I want Martha and James Bond. I'm like, okay, what do you want for your 2 kids? Preschool, no, private school brats? Yeah, I'm like, okay, not that hard. Your wife? Oh, she's like the girl that's in every James Bond movie. I'm like, and also she's busty, so don't be too shy with her, you know. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. What about for you? I'm the James Bond of the industry.
Of course he is. How much are you getting for this?
Huh?
How much are you getting for this?
About 230.
I thought Kente was like more of a cat.
It's a dog, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just finished drawing. I'm just doing just rendering shit now for the first part, and then I'm gonna do the family portrait and everything. But then I was working on this world design thing. But I'm genuinely excited to do that because it's just really cool.
Wow. Supernatural prequel, The Winchesters in works at the CW from Jensen and Danelle Ackles. Supernatural prequel is in the works.
Why would you need a prequel to that?
It finished.
Yeah, so.
There shouldn't be anything to it.
Come on, there's more in there.
Like Star
Well,
Wars.
Well, it's like how I just finished Attack on Titan and everything.
It's 15 seasons.
Second Night is 15 seasons.
No,
No,
it's 6
Supernatural.
seasons. They've explored the world.
Was it 5
other
seasons now?
country-
4 seasons.
No, 5. 5 seasons.
There'll be 5.
Technically, yes, because they're not done with season 4 yet.
Yeah, I was gonna
They've
say.
explored the other countries, where Titans come from, all the powers and all that shit, and like the religions and governments of different countries around the world and shit, and how Titans relate into that. And then people are like, oh, 5